So I'm gonna start recording now. Good. Is Jonathan? Yes, there is Jonathan. So guys, before we start with the activities prepared for today's class, I want to know if you saw the videos that I shared before and that Liliana shared with you about the CAE speaking part 1 and 2. Did you check the videos?
Yes, teacher.
Yes, teacher. Yes.
Okay, great. One of you can give me a really short summary about the first video, like maybe the highlights or the main points, especially about the advices or the tips that they give you. Which advice do you think it's like the most important to take into account for the first part?
Okay, teacher. I think the main advice for me is listen carefully to the questions and give extended responses. I think that is the main advice. Listen carefully to the questions.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, teacher. Listen to me, teacher.
Yes?
Okay. The look at the video and listen and your partner and the maintain in the time for speaking the long in answer any 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 questions, not short, not short. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Milton, right?
Okay, right.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, let's talk a little bit about the speaking part too. Jonathan or Ismael, can you give me a little summary or, what you think about the advices you get from there?
Yeah, teacher. The video said, for example, that we have to. The video explained how to choose, for example, two pictures to compare it. So the video said, for example, that the more easy, the easiest form to explain that is choosing two pictures, for example, that we can compare and not that have similar things, and also that pictures that about topics that we can manage and not topics that we can't understand, for example.
Hmm. Excellent. Ismael, what do you think?
Teacher, in the video say that you need to find similarities and difference in two picture. Don't choose the picture, the photo that is not clear for you. Then you don't what is the meaning.
Hmm.
Advance is move from the picture A to B, from to the B to, and use linking device like while, whereas, conversely, on other hands, in contrast. This is
Hmm. Yes, that's right. Thank you so much for your summaries. Now, I want to highlight 2 points about that the videos mention, okay? For the first part, what Viviana said about listening careful, that's something really important. Why? Because when you're taking a test like this, it's normal that you get nervous, that you're like freaking out about being there. So we usually maybe misunderstand what we're being asked or we're supposed to answer. So the video mentioned that it's okay for you to ask for repetition. It's okay that you say, "Oh, I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?" Maybe we tend to think that asking that it's a mistake, but take in mind that it's not a mistake that you ask for the question again. The examiner, it's okay if you ask, oh, hey, can you repeat it, please? Because the main idea is that you answer the right question. So don't worry if you need to ask for clarification about the question. And the other point that I want to highlight about part two is that you only have 1 minute to perform your your second part. And remember that in that part two, you have to compare both pictures and answer the question at the same time. So the video recommends you that don't state the obvious things. Don't start like describing what you see in the picture because that's too obvious. The examiner knows what the picture is about. So don't start with that. Like just start right away with the not with the description, but with the comparison. As Jonathan mentioned, you have to start with stating the similarities and differences that you find between both pictures, but those similarities and differences have to be related with the question you're being asked. That's why it's important, as Ismael and Jonathan said about the video, that you choose two pictures that are like opposite for you to have more material to contrast, and pictures that you understand what's going on there, not going for the things that maybe have situations that you're not so sure how to describe or what they mean. Okay?
Okay.
Is it clear for you?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, teacher.
Yes,
Thank you.
Okay,
teacher, thanks.
good.
Yes,
So
teacher.
I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're gonna do a similar exercise like the last encounter. We're going to work on part one and two, but this time it's gonna be like a little more active, okay? And taking time really into account, because remember that as part of this English conversation course, you're going to do you're going to perform a sample of the CAE test. So it's better for you to be prepared and taking into account the time. All right? So can
Oh,
you see my screen?
Yes, teacher.
Yes? Okay, good.
yes.
I'm
Everyone
not
can see?
teacher.
Oh, maybe it's the connection. Give it its
Yeah.
own minute. Okay. So for the ones who can see my screen, mm, you notice that I have a card with some of the usual questions you get for CAE speaking part one. I'm going to assign each one of you a question, and then you have to answer each question for 2 minutes. Your answer has to be 2 minutes long. But while your classmates are answering the question, I need that you pay a lot of attention and write down or prepare a question for your classmate according to his answer, all right? So imagine that Viviana starts the exercise and she answers, I don't know, maybe the first one, where are you from? I need that all of you, the boys, pay attention to Viviana's answer and prepare a question for her according to what she said, all right?
Okay, teacher.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
okay.
So I'm going to assign the questions. Question for Ismael is going to be, what do you enjoy most about learning English? This one. What do you enjoy most about learning English is for Ismael. The question for Milton is, have you celebrated anything recently and how? The question for Viviana is, if you could travel to one country in the world, where will you go and why? And finally, the question for Jonathan is, who do you think has had the greatest influence on your life and why? Okay?
Okay.
Okay, teacher.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Um, remember the time.